Patch 2.6.4 has finally hit, and with those changes comes a Legacy of Nightmares buff up to 750% damage per ancient item. So of course it became my quest to find the best possible speed variation using Legacy of Nightmares. So without further ado, I would like to introduce you guys to the BlightMancer. Now, as always, throughout the video, I'm going to play some gameplay above. This is GR100. It is with really good gear, but it's with all intelligence Paragon removed. And as you guys can see, this thing just melts greater rifts and could arguably be the best speed farm build for the Necro, even better than the Blight Spear. So as stated before, this is a Legacy of Nightmares build, and as you guys know, it got buffed to 750% per item, which is just nutso. So every ancient item we wear, we get a 750% damage bonus and a 4% damage reduction. So with fully ancient gear, we're getting insane amounts of damage modifier. This build plays a lot like BlightMancer. If you guys haven't seen that video, it's an Inarius setup. BlightMancer's biggest problem is, of course, it can't deal with single targets, and this build does very well. So let's just jump right into the gear and the skills. Our main source of damage in this build is Corpse Explosion. And again, we have Corpse Lance to deal with the single targets. So just like BlightMancer, this is kind of an elite hunter build. While Land of the Dead is up, you can pretty much just spam Corpse Explosion. After the elites are dead, you can just kill the trash that's nearby. And with a Golem, you can pretty much spam it while Ingyam is active. So you can kill big packs of trash and get actually a lot more progress than you would probably be able to with Blight Spear between elite packs. So again, our damage dealers here are Corpse Explosion and Corpse Lance. How are we juicing those up? Well, one, of course, we're wearing Legacy of Nightmares, which gives us 750% damage per ancient item we have on, which is an insane damage modifier. On top of that, we're using the Grasp of Essence gloves, which says when an exploded corpse damages at least one enemy, your Corpse Explosion deals 100% increased damage for 6 seconds, stacking up to 5 times, so a 500% damage modifier. We're also using the Johnstone in the necklace, which says when Land of the Dead expires, you gain 50 stacks of Macabre, and Macabre Knowledge increases the damage of Corpse Lance and Corpse Explosion by 200%. So as we're elite hunting here, when we hit the next elite pack, we've got this immediate damage bonus to deal with the next elite pack, which is really, really nice. We're also using the Corpse Whisper Pauldrons, which, as you guys know, Corpse Lance damage is increased by 30% for 3 seconds. When you consume a corpse, max 20 stacks. So this is our way, again, of dealing with single targets and juggernauts. In the cube, we're using Nair's Black Death, which says each different poison skill you use increases the damage of your poison skills by 100% for 15 seconds. And we are using 3 different poison skills here: Corpse Lance, Corpse Explosion, and Bone Armor Dislocation. You can pass a certain cooldown breakpoint. You can start to use the K Golem to get just a little bit more damage juice, but this is the most consistent overall. And of course, in the cube, we're using Crispin Sentence, pretty much a staple in any Necro build ever. Basically, we get 100% increased damage against enemies that are slowed or whatnot, and triple damage against enemies that are CC'd. And of course, in this build, we're using Land of the Dead, Frozen Lands, plus Bone Armor Dislocation. So as long as they're stunned or they're frozen, they're going to take 300% more damage multiplied, which is absolutely insane combined with the Legacy of Nightmares damage bonus. Now with skills, again, we're using Corpse Lance. We're going to use Ricochet here. Just that additional chance for Ricochet to bounce to another target and do more damage is amazing. Plus, it's a poison skill, which procs Nair's Black Death. For the Corpse Explosion room, we're going to use Close Quarters, which is the biggest damage modifier that Corpse Explosion can get, and on top of that, it is poisoned, so double awesome. Bone Armor, we're using Dislocation, which A, you can proc the stun on demand to proc Crispin Sentence, and B, it is a poison skill, so more damage for Nair's Black Death. We're using Blood Rush with Molting. Being able to create an on-demand corpse is really, really valuable in this build, because more corpses means more lances, more explosions. We're using Flesh Golem here to plop a big pile of corpses on demand as well. This can help either finish off elites or even kill elites if you have enough stacks of Macabre. And because we're stacking so much cooldown in this build, it comes back so fast. And of course, we're using Land of the Dead, Frozen Lands, a staple in a lot of Necro builds, especially the ones that I create. It's just too good. For 10 seconds, you basically freeze the whole screen and all your corpse skills are free. And of course, we're using Corpse Lance and Corpse Explosion, so we can just spam those without even having to have corpses, which is just OP. For passes, we're using Final Service because we don't want to die, obviously. The only negative here is that it can kill your golem, which is no fun. We're using rigor mortis because, again, all our skills are poison, and we do climb fairly high as far as speed is concerned with this build. So getting their attack speed reduced by 30% and proccing the 100% damage bonus on the charisma sentence built in is really, really nice. Blood is power, obviously, more cooldown. Assuming we take damage or, take damage from our blood rush, we're going to proc this thing constantly. Really, really good for this build. And of course, standalone. Yes, we're using one pet, but that still means we're going to get a 90% armor increase, which is really, really strong. Some of the other pieces of gear, we're wearing Aquila in the chest. Aquila, we're never spending resource in this build, period. So Aquila is effectively up 100% of the time, no matter what, which is a flat 50% damage reduction. Amazing. This build is so much more tanky than Blight Spear. We're using Leoric's Crown. Again, we're stacking as much cooldown as possible in this build, so Leoric's Crown gives us double the effect of our diamond on our helmet, which is amazing. We're using Steward's Grease, which just gives us more speed, which is amazing. Those times where, maybe we're elite starved, we can still fly through the map with 100% movement speed, which is just god tier. We're using Ingyam, as you guys know. Every single time we kill an elite pack, which is we're kind of an elite sniper build, we're going to proc Ingyam, which basically takes all our cooldowns down by 10 seconds, which makes us able to spam Blood Rush and fly through the map. Takes down our cooldown on Land of Dead by a lot, lets us spam Bone Armor, lets us basically spam the Golem. And again, this stacks, so if we kill like 2 packs, the Land of Dead timer goes down like crazy. The offhand is just a stat stick here. You can use any one of them just as long as it has the stats that you need. Bracers, of course, guys, you guys know I love Nemesis Bracers. Ingyam plus Nemesis equals just pure love. Again, we're going to spawn elites when we touch a pylon, which will proc Ingyam when we kill them, and it just makes you fly to the rift. It probably shaves at least a minute and a half off of every rift. For the belt, we're wearing Vigilant Belt because it gives us 8% cooldown reduction. And the last item, we're using Swampland Waders. And you might say, Fluff, Necro can't get those, and you would be correct. We actually have to roll a Witch Doctor to get a pair of these pants. And this will be the trickiest part of the build because you have to roll a Witch Doctor, get Swamplands, and then get on your Necro and try to re-roll the Swamplands into an element that you can use. And then also, on top of that, it has to be Ancient. So you're probably going to spend quite a bit of bounty mats, quite a bit of Forgotten Souls trying to get a pair of these. Ignore that secondary effect where it says sacrifice deals blah additional damage. We don't care about that. The only reason we want the Swamplands is because it gives us elemental damage, which is just really nice to have on your character. Now, it isn't completely necessary to get a good pair of Swamplands. We are using good Golem Skin Breaches because it reduces the Golem cooldown, plus it makes us take less damage, which is again another damage mitigation, which is amazing. So you can just wear Golem Skin and then wear something else in the queue, but the Swamplands are really, really good if you can get your hands on a good pair. Stat priority, guys. Again, this is a heavy cooldown based build. The more cooldown you guys get your hands on, the faster these rifts are going to go. So, of course, stat priority is going to be cooldown everywhere you can get it. So gloves, crit damage, crit chance, cooldown reduction, intelligence, shoulders. These are going to be pretty hard to roll really well, but you would want int, bite, cooldown reduction, and corpse lance damage. Helmet, int, bite, crit chance is perfect with, of course, a diamond socketed. For the chest, you'd want int, bite, and corpse lance damage. For the belt, int, bite, life, and cooldown reduction, of course. For the pants, again, these are going to be pretty hard to get, but you want poison damage, int, bite, armor. Steward's Greaves, int, bite, armor, and movement speed. The necklace, crit damage, crit chance. Cooldown reduction is really nice. It's going to be pretty hard to get. But poison damage would be really good as well. And the bracers, poison, int, bite, and crit chance. The rings, you would both want crit damage, crit chance, and cooldown reduction would be the dream. On the weapon, the dream as well with Ingyam would be to be able to have an Ingyam so good that you could roll off intelligence. So damage percent, attack speed, cooldown reduction, socket is the dream, which again, this is non-season gear, so it's going to be really, really good. For offhand, it's just a stat stick, like we said. It could be any one of the Necro offhands, but we want crit chance, cooldown reduction, corpse lance damage. The essence roll actually doesn't matter at all here, so that's nice. It'll be easier to get one. And then, of course, for legendary gems, we're going Bane the Trapped, Bane the Powerful, and Zeiss. Zeiss, you're not going to be far away from him a lot of the time, but Zeiss is perfect for those situations where you have to single target like your Rift Guardian or a Juggernaut or some other annoying mob type that's far away. But as far as playstyle is concerned, just as I said before, you know, it plays exactly like BlightMancer, except you have corpse lance at your disposal as well. So you're just flying around the map, trying to find the leads, proccing Ingyam, so you can spam Blood Rush. You can decrease the cooldown on Land of the Dead, and you just fly through the rift at 1,000 miles per hour. So you want to get into the rift, you want to find the lead pack as fast as you can. You know, Stewart's Greaves are going to help you a lot. You find that lead pack, you pop Land of the Dead, kill them as fast as you can. You know, combination of Corpse Explosion, Corpse Lance, whatever you need to get them killed. Proc your Ingyam and then fly to the next pack. And then when you meet the next pack, you're going to have your 50 stacks of Macabre. And then when you find your next lead pack, you're actually going to have stacks of Macabre. So you're going to actually do even more damage to them. So you might even burst them down with a juicy Corpse Explosion. And then if there's a Scraggler, then of course Corpse Lance. And the nice thing about Corpse Lance is it'll consume corpses from anywhere on the screen. Whereas Corpse Explosion, you have to be right on top of the corpse to cast it. So the nice thing is, like, if you kill the whole pack and like one little guy runs away, you can Corpse Lance him down and just move on to the next pack. And of course, on top of that, we have a little bit of utility here with the Golem. You can pop down the corpses, use those corpses to either finish off the pack with Corpse Lance. And of course, on top of that, you have the corpse that's built into your Blood Rush rune. So if you ever need a couple more corpses to finish off a mob, you can just spam Blood Rush, and of course, corpses will be generated. But it all works together really well. It's kind of what I always dreamed BlightMancer would be, and it's actually a ton of fun to play. I'm not usually a big fan of long builds, but I gotta say, I love this build. It's a lot of fun. It's crazy fast. Probably even faster than Blight Spirit, which is just insane. You know, being able to speed a GR 100. Now, of course, with Ring of Roller Grander buff next season, you know, Blight Spirit is going to be able to do a little bit more than it usually would. But this build is really good. Corpse Explosion is probably one of the most satisfying skills in the game. And with being able to add Corpse Lance and deal with single targets, you kind of fill the void of exactly what this build needed. And it adds a lot of spice for next season for the Necro, because Necro, as you guys know, it basically got 0 changes to the sets. This was a much needed new build. But that's basically gonna do it for the video, guys. As always, like, subscribe, come over to Twitch, ask your questions. We'll see you in season 16. Peace out.